Good morning, students. So, good afternoon, students. Can you tell me whether I'm audible and screen is visible? 1 minute. Yeah. Yeah. Tell me whether I'm audible and screen is visible. Then we'll start the class. Okay. Thank you, Larti. Okay. Fine, guys. Guys, in the last class, we are talking about the sexual reproduction in the flowering plant, right? In that last class, we have studied about the microsporogenesis, megasporogenesis, and we started with the pollination also, right? In the pollination, we studied about the types of the pollination, like the autogamy, getinogamy, and the xenogamy, right? I think you all are aware of this topic. Then we will continue now, okay? 1 minute. Yes, Larti, I'm okay. Thank you. I'm okay, Larti. Mm. Okay, fine, guys. Let us start the class. Okay, in the today's class, we are going to talk only about the pollination and the pollen pistil interactions. Okay, fine. So here is the question for you guys. The question is the two nuclei at the end of the pollen tube are called. Okay, we have studied about the microsporogenesis, right? Microsporogenesis is related to the pollen grain, right? Yes or no? And in that we studied about the how the pollen grain is going to be formed, right? So here is the question is the two nuclei at the end of the pollen tube are called option 1 tube nucleus and generative nucleus, option 2 sperm and ovum, and option 3 generative nucleus, and option 4 generative nucleus, or option 3 generative nucleus and stigma, option 4 tube nucleus and a sperm. You can answer me in the chat box. Very good, Larti. Yes, correct. What about others? Very good, HP. Very good, Venu. Yes, a tube nucleus and a generative nucleus. I have one more question for you guys. What is this tube nucleus actually? If you know means you can tell me. The tube nucleus actually from either it is from the generative nucleus or from the vegetative. We studied two nucleuses there, right? In the pollen grain, two generative and one vegetative in the three cell stage, and whereas the one vegetative and one generative in the two cell stage. Can you tell me how many, which is the tube nucleus here, which is going to act? My question is either generative cell is acting as a tube nucleus, or vegetative cell, 1 minute. Yeah, vegetative cell is going to be act as a tube nucleus. 1 minute. I don't know why it is not working. Okay. Vegetative cell maybe. Very good, Larki. Yes, not maybe, that is correct. Tube nucleus is working by the vegetative nucleus. Okay, vegetative is going to be act as a tube nuclei. 1 minute, 1 minute, guys. Give me a 2 minutes, guys. Give me a minute.
please wait for 5 more minutes as Manjula ma'am is trying to join with another laptop. There is a problem with the screen share, I guess. Just 2 to 3 minutes would be enough. Okay, till then you can revise whatever has happened in the last classes. You can revise that. And what she's going to teach now. That also you can read in the NCRT. Yes. Sometimes it happens, okay? When we are teaching in an online mode, this keep on happening. From which JNV students are here? As you can see, you guys have joined through the personal devices. So you guys are in home, right? So कौन सा JNV है भाई इधर? You can write in the chat box. Let me see. Okay, Hyderabad region, Vizianagaram, Gadag, again Hyderabad, Belagavi, Hyderabad region, Jen Shimoga, Namuru, Venugopal, Bangalore. Okay, Karaikal. All JNV, all from Hyderabad region, no one from Pune region. What about Shillong? JNV Karaikal is also. Hmm. So how is summer, summer treating you guys? Very hot. I think it's raining in some of the areas. Few days back, I can see Bangalore. In Bangalore, it was raining heavily, and in Hassan also, I guess. Shimoga also from last 2 to 3 days, rain was there. Araku side, okay, it's raining. So how you cooperate with the rain, or how you are going to enjoy in the rain with bisi bonda, pakoda, with some good adrak chai, ginger chai. Well, some guys doesn't like, masaledar tea, plain tea. Some people prefer. There is no JNV Chikmagaluru here. Okay. I could have started teaching, but no, I don't want to bore you. Okay, Manjula ma'am will continue. I hope you have not forgotten the concepts which we have taught you in the 11th classes. Okay, that is very important. If you forget like, हाँ भाई 11th खत्म, सब खत्म, तो मुश्किल हो जाएगा. Rakshita, I could have turned on my video, uh, but my condition is not proper to do that. Sorry. So what I was saying is, please make sure that whatever you have learned in the 11th, don't forget it, especially the heavy weighted chapters, plant physiology and animal physiology. Please make sure that you keep on revising them. And some chapters like animal kingdom, plant kingdom, you tend to forget them very soon because of the large number of terminologies and many things to remember. It's a memory based chapter, plant physio, this one, plant kingdom and animal kingdom. तो जितना रिवाइज करोगे उतना अच्छा रहता है. Clear? So keep on revising concepts, and if you forget, it's better you make the mind maps. Okay, make the mind maps, and in front of you in the table where you study, paste them. Okay, and keep looking at it. That's how you can ease the process, because once the 12th syllabus starts now, you have to concentrate more on 12 because it's a new concept for you. But 11th, it's already done. Okay, so more revision, more help. So biology mein, it's very important to keep on revising and solving practice questions. ओके सो नीट में देखो बेटा सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट जो स्ट्रेटेजी है क्रैक करने के लिए कि कम टाइम में ज्यादा क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करो। ये आपके पास अगर हुनर आ गया तो यू आर गोइंग टू एक्सेल। ओके सो ट्राई टू सॉल्व as many questions as possible within less time. So for that, what you have to do, collect all the practice papers, mock papers, whatever you find. Okay, so you will get many sources. Online में आपको बहुत सारे source का मिलेगा, हमारे अवंती fellows का मैडम आपको provide करेंगे. Okay, मंजुला मैम will give you. Other than that, we'll find of Alan. Okay, वेदांतु का है और कई सारे ऐसे हैं, बहुत सारे papers आपको मिलेंगे. Just use them all. Okay. So if you have any doubts anywhere, you can talk to Manjula. She will help you out. Okay. Yes. And meanwhile, one more thing that which I have seen in my experience is that students neglect biology because they feel like no, chemistry and physics is the one which is very difficult. Biology is easy. We can somehow manage it. So with this kind of attitude, you're not going to score. Okay, because in biology there are so many questions, you need a lot of time to read. So that's why I'm telling you two things must and should that you have to do is revision and problem solving. Okay, yeah. Anything that you wanted to ask? Yes, Rakshita. She will join in 2 more minutes. Let's wait. If you have anything to ask, you can.
Hi, Gazala. Good evening.
Hi, Subhash. Hello.
Yeah, so anything is Edison from Manjula side for classes?
Um, yes, Subhash. Can you please
Okay.
repeat once again? I couldn't hear
No,
you
no, no, no. Why
properly.
is Manjula didn't join the classes? No, that's why asking anything else.
No. She did join. There was some
Okay,
problem
okay,
with the sharing. She couldn't share the screen. So
okay,
that's
okay,
why she
okay,
said that she will fetch another laptop from
okay,
her
okay.
neighbor. So
Yeah, now
she will
only I
join.
complete my meeting. I joined. That's why.
Yeah. She'll join soon, Subhash.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah. Till then, I was just talking with the students, asking them how are
Yeah, sure,
they.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Hmm. Okay, Gazala. Bye.
Yeah. Yes, Manjula, your screen is shared.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Sorry,
Thank
guys.
you.
There's some screen stuck there, so that's why. Sorry. Okay, guys. So let us start the class. So I have told you already here the correct answer for this question. Okay. So here is the next question, guys. Transfer of the pollen from anther to the stigma of the same flower is called as same flower. I think you all know the answer, right? Yeah, I'm launching the poll. It's a very easy question, but I have another question for you guys other than this. Okay. Yeah, the correct answer is D, right? D. The correct answer is the transfer of the pollen from the anther to the stigma of same flower is called as autogamy, guys, not xenogamy. Let us explain you. Okay, see here, where we have studied about the three types of the pollination, right? In the autogamy, what will happen? The same flower, okay? 1 minute. Yeah. If it is the same flower, in the same flower, okay, the anther is going to pollinate the stigma. Okay. Stigma, the anther is going to be release the pollen grain. It is going to pollinate the stigma. That is called as autogamy. Right. When we talking about geitonogamy, in the geitonogamy, what happened? So here the pollination is happening between different flowers, right guys? Different flowers of same plant, same plant, right? In the same plant, the two different flowers are there. One flower is releasing the pollen grain where that is going to be pollinate the stigma of the another flower. That is called as geitonogamy, right? Then coming to the xenogamy is the pollination between the different plants, genetically different, right guys? That is called as xenogamy. Yes or no? Okay. So the transfer of the pollen from anther to the stigma of the same flower, it is called as autogamy. Okay. And it is also called as self-pollination also. Right? Okay. Fine. In the last class, we have started with the pollination, guys, and we already studied about that. The pollination is done by the abiotic factor and a biotic factor, right? So here we discussed about the in the abiotic factor, wind and water, and in the biotic factor, snail is going to be pollinate, that called as malacophily, insect, entomophily, birds, ornithophily, bats, chiroptophily, and others are we called as the zoophily. Okay, fine. Now let us talk about biotic and the abiotic. First, we will talk about the pollination done by the wind, and later we will talk by the pollination done by the water. Okay, then we later will study about the biotic factor by the biotic factor, that is mainly insects. Okay. First, let us see, guys. Whenever the pollination is done by the wind means, what are the characters that flower should have? Okay, here there is no agent. By the wind, the pollen grain is going to be just going through the wind. It is going to be fall on any stigma. Then it is going to be pollinate. Right. It is not like intentionally. Intentionally, the pollen is not going in the wind and it is going to be fall on the stigma. It is not intentionally. You have to remember. Okay, by the wind it is moving, by any flower of the stigma it can bind. It's not compulsory that it should be bind on the same flower of the stigma. No, it is not compulsory. It can bind on any flower, but which is a species specific, there only the pollination is going to be, there only the pollen to be is going to be germinate. Okay, so here let us see what are the characters that a wind pollinating flower should have. Okay, the pollination is by the wind is called as anemophily, and the common by abiotic agent it is. Okay, through the water it is very less, by the wind it is more. Okay, then coming to the wind pollinated flowers as the single ovule. Okay, so you can remember this is the wind pollinating flowers. Here you can see it should be arranged in the inflorescence. Okay, more flowers are arranged, but a single flower, here you can see so many flowers are there. Okay, it is consisting so many flowers, it is called as inflorescence. It's in a bunch, but the single flower should contain a single ovule. Remember, okay? A single flower should contain a single ovule here in the wind pollinating, and numerous flowers are packed in the inflorescence. Okay, and flowers are used to produce a large pollen grains. Just remember, the wind pollination is not like we can tell that 100% the pollination is going to be happen. Okay, here what will happen, the pollen grains should be produced, right? It's in the numerous number because it should be move in the wind, right? So that's why it will produce in the numerous number, and the pollen grains are light and non-sticky. Just remember, if it is a sticky or it should have the weight mean, if it is having the weight mean, is that chances that it will move in the wind? No, right? There is no chance that it will move in the wind easily, right? So that's the reason it should be a low weight, and it should not stick to anywhere. So that's why the pollen grain will be non-sticky. Okay. If it is sticky means while going in the wind, it will bind to the anywhere, somewhere, right? So that's why the pollen grain is non-sticky and it is lightweight. Okay. And what about the stamen? Stamens are exposed. You can see here, it is exposed like this. Whenever the wind is, through the wind, the pollen grains will be move like this. Okay. So that's why the stamens are exposed. Okay. It is not like binded in the flower. It will be exposed outside the flower. Okay, it will be exposed outside the flower. Then what about the stigma? stigma should be like feathery. Okay, it should be feathery and it will be large. For example, have you seen how you are going to catch the ball, guys? Are you going to catch the ball like this, right? Or you are going to catch the ball like this? How you will keep your hand while catching the ball? You will keep your hand like this, right? It should be large, right? Inside the ball will come, right? So that's why the stigma should be receiving the pollen, right? It should be large, and it will be feathery for catching for catching the pollen grain. Okay. So this is about the characteristics of the wind pollinating flowers. And also, yeah. So this is about the wind pollinating flower characteristic. Do you have any confusion here, or do you need anything? What you have to remember mainly here is pollen grains are not much weight, and they are non-sticky, and the ovule here the flower consisting of the single ovule, and it is packed in the inflorescence. Okay, just remember that. Here you can see in the diagram. Here you can see you can mainly see this type of the pollination in the rice and in the wheat and also in the corn comb. You can see the wind pollination. Okay. Okay, then coming to the water pollination. Pollination is by the water. It is called as a hydrophily. It's not compulsory that all the aquatic plants should undergo the water pollination only, by the hydrophily only. Okay, hydrophily or the water pollination is only some genera will show this. Only a 30% genera will show this water pollination, that hydrophily condition. Okay. So what are the condition here? The flowers are inconspicuous. Okay, the flowers are very small. Okay, and the flowers are there in the water, right? So that's why the perianth and the other floral parts will be non-wettable. Why it is non-wettable means these flowering parts are covered by the mucilages. Mucilage is nothing but carbohydrate, right? That is covered by the mucilage, where the floral parts are not wetted, where they will not get wet. Okay, just remember the flowers are not going to get wet because those are covered by mucilage. Mucilage. Okay, that will cover, that will make a coating like it will become unwettable. Okay, and also pollen grains are naked. Naked means what? They're not containing exine. Exine, you know that outermost layer of the pollen grain we call exine, that is made up of sporopollenin. In inner wall we call as the intine, that is made up of cellulose and pectin, right? Here, the pollen grain does not contain a sporopollenin or exine. Okay, that's why it is called as naked, remember. And stigma will be a long, and this is also unwettable due to the mucilage coating. And the example here, just remember the pollen grain is also not unwettable because this is also covered by mucilage. Okay, just remember this thing. And example is the Vallisneria and Hydrilla. In Vallisneria and Hydrilla, the pollination is taken by the water, that is the fresh water. Okay, these two all fresh water. Here you can see this is a Vallisneria male and this is a Vallisneria female plant. You can see here these are going to produce the male flower and female flower. What will happen now? Male flower, here you can see male flower, it will detach it and will come to the surface. Okay, it will come to the surface. And female will also detach it and will come to the surface. Okay, then the male will form the boat-like structure and it will come towards the female flower. Then it is going to be burst. It is going to be burst the pollen. It is going to be burst the pollen. Then it is going to be attached to the female flower. Then the pollination is going to be happen here on the surface of the water. Okay. In the Vallisneria, the pollination is going to be happen on the surface of the water. Okay. Remember that. And you all know that in the lower plants like bryophytes and the pteridophytes, the water is important because they require the water for the movement of the gametes, male gametes and the female gametes, where they are going to meet in the water. The fertilization is going to be happen in the water, right? So that is the another part. This is mainly where this is in the higher plants. What we studied hydrophily, right? That is in the higher plants. Okay. Do you understood this? The characters of the flowers? Only thing is we have to remember is the flowers are small, the floral parts are unwettable, and the mainly it is covered by the mucilaginous coating. The examples are Vallisneria, Hydrilla, and Zoostera. Zoostera, you can see it is also called as marine grass. Marine grass. It looks like the grass, right? It is called as a marine grass. It will be present in the marine water. Okay. Remember these three. These are very important. Okay. So then the most of the pollination is by the insects. Let us talk about what are the characters that insect pollinating flowers should have. Okay. Just remember, guys, now the flower is there. It has to attract the insect means. It has to attract the insect means what the character that flower should have. What the character the flower should have? It should produce some scent, right? It should produce some odor, right? For attracting the insect, right? That is the first thing. Then it should attract means the petals should be colored, right? They should show the some bright colors of the petals, so it will attract the insect, right? The petals should be colored here, right? Whereas coming to the wind pollination and to the water pollination, hydrophily, there is no requirement of producing the scent or producing the odor, or it should produce the bright colored petals. Yes or no? Because the pollination is by the wind and the water, no? So that's why it does not, no need to attract anyone. That's why. Here in the insect, it should produce the scent and it should have some colored, bright colored petals. Okay. And also, the insect will come and it will sit on the flower, right? It will come and sit on the flower. So for that, the flower should have the landing platform in the flower. Okay, that is thing. And it should produce some nectar because it should have to give the reward, right? The insects are doing the pollination means it should give some reward. So for that, it is having the nectar. And also the stigma is sticky for attachment of the pollen grain. And also pollen grain is also sticky here. Okay. The because just remember guys, if the insect is doing the pollination means, can you tell me whether the insect is doing the pollination intentionally? Is that insects are having the work that I have to pollinate these type of the flower. Now I have to take the pollen grain from the male flower. Now I have to do the cross pollination. Now uh, I have to give this pollen grain to the female flower on the stigma. I have to keep this. Is that words are there for the insect? No, right. It is not intentionally, right? Then how the insects will come on the flower? You know, the insects are having the foraging behavior, right? For the foraging for the food, they will come and sit on the some flower. Okay, that flower produce the some pollen grain. Now that pollen grain is attached to the insect, right? Now this insect only come and bind on to the some female flower on stigma. Now this pollen grain is going to be fall on the stigma of that flower, right? It is happening like that. Right. The insect is coming for the foraging, for taking the nectar, right? It is not intentionally that flower is giving the reward to the insect, like kind of things. Okay. While coming for the foraging, the pollen grains will be attached to the insect. Then it will go and bind to the stigma of the flower. Then obviously the insect will take its nectar, right? That is a kind of pollination is happening. Okay. And you have to remember stigma is sticky and the insects are having the pollen kit. Okay, means the pollen kit is nothing but where it will be attached, the pollen grains will attach it to the backside of the insects. Okay, so this is about the entomophily. Mainly remember, guys, it will show the bright color, landing platform, and produce the some scent that is the odor, and the flowers which are going to be pollinated by the beetles and flies. Okay, that are going to be produce a foul smell. Remember that. Okay, because those have to attract the beetles and flies. No, so that's why that will produce the foul smell. Remember this. Okay, so nectar. You know that honeybee will produce the honey, right? Honeybee will produce the honey, right? It will connect the nectar from the flower, and it is going to be convert that into the honey. Yes or no? Hmm? That is mainly by the nectar, right? Have anyone tasted the nectar, guys? Flower nectar? Have anyone tasted the nectar? Anyone? If yes means you can tell me yes. Someone is tasted. Who told? Prajwal. Very good. How was the taste, Prajwal? How it is? Whether salty or sweety? Venu also. Very good, Venu. I'm not asking you honey, guys. Not honey. If you take any flower from the back of the flower, if you suck means it will give some sweet kind of thing, no? That I am telling. Adi also did. Not honey, and not honey, I am telling. Just by the backside of the flower, if you do like this means you will get some sweetish liquid, right? That is nothing but the nectar. For that, insects will come. Very good, Adi. Very good, Sanjushri. Okay, so that is nothing but the nectar. For that, the insects will come and attract it to the flower. Okay, fine. Then coming to the next guy. So that is the ornithophily. Ornithophily, I have told you, the birds are going to be pollinate the flower. That we are going to call as the ornithophily. And here, these flowers will be larger flower. Okay, the flowers will be larger in size, and the flowers are having the petals that will be like flask shaped because the beak should be move inside, right? So that's why it is having the flask shaped petals. Okay, nectar is very large amount of the nectar will be produced, and nectar will be made of sugar, and these are also will be bright red color, orange, and the blue color. Okay, and they will produce the leathery floral part, and corolla will be funnel shaped. Just remember, corolla will be funnel shaped and it will be large color. And compared to the insect pollinating flower, the ornithophile will produce more nectar. Okay. Then coming to the chiroptophily. Chiroptophily is by the pollination done by the bats. Just remember, guys, if the pollination is done by the bats, means the flower should have the color or not? Tell me. At what time the bats you can see, guys? In the night time or in the morning time? In the bats, rods will be active or the cones will be active in the night time. We can see the bats, more bats in the night time, right? Very good, Rakshita. In the night time, we can see the bats, right? And you can see that bats can not differentiate the any colors like the green color. Okay, the flower is green color or the flower is red color, orange color. It cannot differentiate, right? So that's why the flowers, why to waste the energy? So the flowers are dull colored. Okay, the flowers are dull colored, and for attracting the bats, it will produce some fermenting smell, fermenting or fruity odor it will produce, and through that the bats will be attracted to those flower. Here you can see that flower. That flower is pollinated by bats, and you can see that flower is also large, and that flower will produce fermenting smell, and it will produce abundant nectar compared to the ornithophily flower. Okay, it will produce abundant nectar compared to the ornithophily flower. Okay, and also the pollen grain. Okay, you know that some insect will eat the pollen grain also. Some birds will also eat the pollen grains, and the bats also, not only the nectar. Okay, so this is about the pollination done by the different agents, guys. I think you can remember the important characters. Kindly remember the wind pollination and the water pollination flowers characteristics also. Insect will be easy, right? Okay, how many of you understood this part? How many of you understood this part? Kindly give me a thumbs up, or your emojis are there now. Your emojis are there as usual. Very good, Adi. Adi, you have question or this is your emoji? Whenever Adi will give the emoji, I have to think Adi is asking some questions. Okay, Adi. Fine. Nandu is laughing. Okay, fine, guys. Now let us go to the next. Okay. I already told that the pollination by the insect is not intentionally, right? Sometime what will happen, the insect will come to the flower, right? That is not binded the pollen grain. Okay, the pollen grain is not binded to the insect. That will come to the female, that will bind onto the flower, and just it will simply take. It came for the foraging, right? It will just take the pollen grain and it will take the nectar and it will fly away. Okay, those type of the insect which is not going to do the pollination, right? Those insect which are not going to do the pollination, just it will take the nectar and it will take the pollen grain and happily it will go. No, those type of the insect will called as pollen and nectar robbers, right? For the insect also we given the name that is robber. Okay, fine. Just imagine these are not going to be do the pollination, so that's why we're going to call as pollen and nectar robbers. We already given the reward, but they are not doing the pollination. That's why. Okay. Fine. So now let us go to the, for some plants is also giving the some special rewards, some special floral rewards, those that is giving the place for laying the egg, guys. For this, I have to tell an example that nowadays in the Ola and in some other things, in the Ola I have checked, they, those are having the rewards. Okay. If the driver, we can give a reward for the drivers. For example, 10 rupees, 20 rupees, 30 rupees, like kind of the reward. While we are choosing for the auto or car, for them, we can give a reward. Through seeing the reward, they will come first. Okay. So like that type of the reward. So here the plants is giving that is a special type of the reward. That is nothing but they are giving the place for the insect for the laying the egg. Okay, laying the egg. That is the amorphophallus. That is the large flower that is having the uh, good that is having the place for the laying the egg for the insects. Okay, so here it is 6 feet. Okay, you can remember this. Amorphophallus is a 6 feet. Okay. Then coming to the another reward that is given by the moth species and the plant yucca. Both all are like mutually connected. That will not, both of them not complete the life cycle without the one. Okay. So just remember the moth is going to do the pollination and that yucca flower is going to get pollinated. Right. Then the moth is going to lay the egg in the yucca. Then after that it is going to be hatch out and it will come out. Okay. Remember this moth species and the yucca. Do you have any questions over here, guys? In the pollination, I think you understood about the pollination. Okay, Adi, that is your emoji. Okay, Prajwal. Okay, Amiya. Okay, Nikita. Fine. This is about the pollination, guys. You can remember this. Okay, now let us talk about the outbreeding devices. What do you mean by this outbreeding devices mean? Now we studied that pollination, self-pollination, right? If the flowers are continuing the self-pollination means there will be a inbreeding depression is going to be happen, right? It should avoid the self-pollination, right? Some of the genetic disease will be fixed and we are not going to get the variation in the self-pollination, autogamy, indigenogamy kind of thing, right? But here what happening, the flowers are avoiding this self-pollination by cultivating some devices. Okay, which are those means? Here there are four things we will study about that. Okay, first one is to avoid the self-pollination. Remember, okay, the first one is dichogamy. What do you mean dichogamy means? Here what happened? For the self-pollination, to happen the self-pollination, the anther and stigma should mature same time. Right? It should produce, it should mature same time. Then only the anther is going to be produce the pollen grain. That pollen grain is going to be fall on the matured stigma. Yes or no? But here what happened? The plants are cultivated that kind of thing in which the anther is going to be mature at the different time and the stigma is going to be mature at the different time. Right? When the anther is matured, just it will simply release the pollen grain. It is not going to be fall on the stigma of the same flower because the stigma of the same flower is not matured yet, right? So that kind of thing we call as a dichogamy. That is anther and stigma mature at different time. I think you understood this. Give me thumbs up if you understood. First one means. Then coming to the heterostyle. In the heterostyle, what will happen? The stigma and anther will be placed in the different position. How you can see here. For example, the anther is at the lower position, okay, and the stigma is at the higher position. Stigma, okay, stigma is at the higher position, whereas anther at the lower position. Okay, in that kind of thing, the anther will produce the pollen grain. It will not going to bind on the stigma, right? Immediately, it is not going to be bind on the stigma. It will come to the, it will fall down. It will fall downwards, right? In that case also, the self-pollination is not going to be happen. That is called as heterostyle. Heterostyle means the anther and stigma are placed in different position to avoid self-pollination. To avoid. To avoid. To avoid self-pollination. Do you understood this? To avoid the self-pollination, the anther and stigma are placed in the different position in different flower. Okay, fine. Then coming to the self-incompatibility. What do you mean by self-incompatibility? Compatibility means what? First, we will understand the word compatibility. Compatibility means you can see that yeah, in this we can study that the same flower, same plant is there, right? The same plant, okay? Same plant or same flower pollen grain is the same plant, same flower. It is going to be produce the pollen grain, right? That pollen grain is going to be fall on the stigma of the same flower, okay? Same flower, okay? Is the same pollen, same flower, same pollen grain, and it will bind on the same flower of the stigma. Okay, that is called as a compatibility. Mean those are matching together, matching compatibility. Okay, that will be matching together. That is called as the compatibility. Okay, so here you can see that, for example, the same plant, in the same plant, the same flower is producing the pollen that is going to be germinate on the same stigma of the flower. That is called as compatibility. But what is happening in the self-incompatibility is the pollen grain of the same flower not going to be germinate on stigma of that same flower. That is, that is not going to be germinate on the same flower stigma. That is called as self incompatibility. Compatibility means what? It is going to be germinate on the same flower stigma. Incompatibility means what? It is not going to be germinate on the same flower stigma. Do you understood self incompatibility? Larti, I will check with that. I will not have an idea about that. I will check in and I will tell in the next class. Okay. Okay. So this is about the self-incompatibility. Okay. The same pollen grain, it is not going to be germinate on the same flower stigma. Okay. So that's why it is called as a self-incompatibility. Then coming to the fourth one, that is called as a declining. Declining means the production of the unisexual flower. Means in the same plant, you can see it is going to be produce the male flower also and the female flower also. Okay, the same plant, okay, the same plant, it is going to be produce the male flower and the female flower, female flower, okay, that is called as a decline. It is going to produce a unisexuality, okay, and another is the dioecious. In this papaya, we can take an example. In that papaya, the male papaya plant is different, female papaya plant is also different, okay. Just remember these two. Four things are important: decogamy, heterostyly, self-incompatibility, and declining. Okay. The outbreeding devices are important, guys. If you didn't understood, once again you tell me, I will make you to understand. Can we go for the next? Okay. Let us talk about the pollen and pistil interaction. Okay. So here you can see, guys, what do you mean by pollen and pistil interaction mean? It is a group of the events that occur from. Now you can see that pollen grain is formed and the stigma is also ready. The embryo sac is also formed inside the ovule. Now embryo sac is also ready. The pollen grain is also released. Now pollination is done by the insect or wind or by the water. Okay. Now what happened? The pollen grain is come and bind to the stigma. See here. Pollen grain come and bind to the stigma. You can see here now there are 6 pollen grain is binded here. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Kindly see the diagram. I have a question for you. The 6 pollen grain that is binded on the stigma of the flower. Okay. Can you tell me, guys, which one of the pollen here from the 1 to 6, which pollen is not that species of the pollen? Which pollen is not compatible here? Not a compatible. from 1 to 6 pollen grain, which pollen grain is not compatible? Have you know what is a compatible, right? Very good, very good. Olar answered, Venu answered, whereas Tanjiro Komodo answered. Very good. What about others? Larti, what about you? Very good, Adi. 1 and 5. Very good. Yes, guys. 1 and 5 because the pollen tube is not formed. Very good, Larti. Yes. Pollen tube is not formed. Right? In the 1 also not formed, whereas in the 5 also not formed. Means 1 and 5 is incompatible. Incompatible. Right? Which all are compatible then? 2, 3, 4, 6. 2, 3, 4, 6 are compatible. Compatible. Okay. So here what will happen, guys? The stigma will produce some chemicals, whereas the pollen grain will also produce some chemicals. Okay. Now, both will become compatible. Then only the pollen tube is going to be germinate. The pollen tube will be germinate now. Okay. No, Larti, just simply I asked. It's okay, pa. Okay. See here, what is the pollen and pistil interaction is? It is a group of the events. Okay. It is a group of the event that occur from the time of the pollen deposition over a stigma to the time of the pollen tube entry to the ovule. What is happening here is, just imagine the, here ovule is there. Okay. Here the ovule is there. Okay, ovule is there here. Now, this is the micropylar end. Micropylar end. Okay. Now, there is a stigma is, now the pollen grain is binded on this. Pollen grain is bind to this, right? From the time of pollen grains bind to this, then the pollen grain is started to form the pollen tube, right? The pollen tube is going into the style now, right? Pollen grain is forming, it's decreasing in the tube. Now the pollen tube is reaches to the ovule. It is reaches to the ovule through the micropylar end till reaching to the ovule. The tube is formed, right? Tube is formed until reaching the ovule. This interaction we will call as pollen and pistil interaction. Once again, read this. It is a type or group of the events that occur from time of the pollen deposition over stigma and to the time of pollen tube entry to the ovule, not to the egg. Not to the egg, okay? Entry to the ovule. Okay? Remember this. Okay? Before the fertilization, this event is going to be happen, guys. And in the diagram, you can see here, so many pollen grains are there. It is germinated here. You can see so many pollen grains that are germinated here. Here also you can see pollen tube formation. Okay. Just see here. We already told if the in the first and the third pollen grain we have seen that, right? First and the fifth pollen grain has fallen on the or deposited on the stigma, but pollination will not guarantee the pollination cannot guarantee the landing on the stigma. Okay, see here. Pollination does not guarantee the right type of the pollen to land on the stigma. So there we have seen that 5, 1 and 5 is not a right kind of the pollen. So that's why it is not from the pollen tube, right? And the next thing, incompatibility. The wrong pollen type, that is 1 and 5th, we have seen that, right? The wrong pollen type from the other species or from the same plant may land on the stigma. Okay? That is called as incompatibility. Whereas the self-incompatibility, we have studied that, right? The same pollen does not germinate on the same stigma. And the pistil, I already told, the pistil will secrete some chemicals and then it will interact with the pollen. Then pollen tube is going to be formed. Then it will determine the compatibility. Okay. Then that will tell the compatibility. Then it is going to be form the pollen tube. The example for this, you can see, guys. You all are having your uniform, right? When you're going for the exam, you'll wear your uniform, then your ID card, right? If you go to the exam hall, if you are wearing different ID, if you are having the different ID card, if you are wearing the different uniform or colored uniform, are you allowed to write the exams? Are you allowed to write the exams, guys? Will they allow? Okay, you come in any dress. If your ID card, if you are having the ID card means just we will let you to write the exam. Is that case? Discipline is required, yes or no? We have to wear our uniform, then with the then with the ID card. Then if you go to the school means, then only they will allow us to write the exam, right? Like this will happen in the here also. Okay. It will check whether that pollen grain is from the same species or not. If it's from the same species, it will check. It will produce some chemicals. Then if it is correct means, then only the compatibility will happen. Then only it is going to be produce the pollen tube. Otherwise, it is not going to be from the pollen tube, right? Yes. So this is called as the pollen and pistil interaction. Okay. Very good, Larti. Okay. So then all these events from pollen landing, pollen grain will land on the stigma. Then pollen tube will till enters to the ovule. This is called as the pollen and pistil interaction. Okay. Here also you can see, guys, the pollen grain S3 and S4, S3 and S1, and S2 and S1. Now pollination happened. Okay, insect has brought some pollen grain, and now the insect brought the pollen grain, right? That is deposited on the stigma. This S3 and S4 are the pollen grain now. These both are specific only. Then it form the pollen tube. Now now this pollination, you can see that pollination is happened, pollen grain is bind on the stigma. Now the pollen tube is forming. Obviously, the fertilization is also going to be happen, right? And here you can see the S3 is compatible, whereas the S1 is not compatible. And here also S2 and S3 is from the wrong pollen grain is binded onto the stigma. Is that pollination is happened now, right? Pollination happened. That is nothing but bringing the pollen grain to the stigma. Now the fertilization is going to be happen or pollen tube is going to be formed. No, the pollen tube is not going to be formed because it is not compatible. Now can you tell me, guys, which all are here given non-compatible to this stigma? For this stigma, for the S1 and S2, which one are not compatible? Non-compatible pollen grain. Either S3 and S4 is non-compatible or S1 and S2. Very good, Rakshita. Yes. S1 and S2 is non-compatible. Non-compatible. I think you have an idea of compatible and non-compatible, right? S1 and S2 is the non-compatible here. Okay. Very good, Rakshita. Okay, then we'll study about the artificial hybridization in the next class, guys. Before going to do that, I want to know that if you are having the dogs in your home, I want what is that breed name? Okay, what is the breed name of the dog? You kindly, if you know means you can tell me. If you don't know means kindly tell me in the tomorrow's class. Dog, the breeds of the dog, or if your any relations are having the dog means the breed of that dog. Okay, fine. Before going to stop the class. I'm going to launch the poll. You can give me your feedback, okay? Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. Today, due to that stuck, I'm not able to complete the class. Okay, I'm launching the poll. Kindly give me your poll. In that tomorrow's class, you have an assignment that you have to tell me the breed name. Breed name. If you are having me, you can tell me breed name. And also, you have to study well this all the topics what I have did and come to the next class. In the next class, I will tell you. I will give you some questions we have to solve together in the class. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, Rakshida, bye. Thank you, Nikita. Bye, pa. Bye,